Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 12 of the Coronavirus in the Independent Retailer podcast. Today we're coming to you from the office. We had problems with our internet at home yesterday. If you've been participating in this podcast at all, you know that that's what's happened. So today we went into the office. We are, of course, practicing appropriate social distancing and wiping everything down and doing all the things that we're supposed to do. So that's why there's a change in scenery. So congratulations, you have made it through another day. You know, as we keep talking about, every day gets us closer to the end. Every day brings us back to normal. So, but today I want to talk about being a good human being, being a good business, and how to use cause marketing, WhizBang cause marketing effectively. So WhizBang cause marketing is when you partner with a local nonprofit organization and you support them. They tell their supporters about you and you do what you do, and then you give a percentage of the sales generated through this partnership back to your participating nonprofit. This is a lot different than just giving a check to an organization that is worthy. This is a true partnership. The more you get, the more they get. If they don't do a good job, you don't get a job. They don't get a big check. Now, of course, during this pandemic, things shift up a little bit. I would encourage you to see this more as a gesture on your part than a partnership, that you're more generous now than you might be in regular times. But that's essentially it, right? You know, they're sending you customers that, you know, or the buzz that this is generate gets you customers and sales, and then you give money back to the organization. This is a great way for you to do good, build buzz, generate publicity, and of course, make more money. So particularly right now, think about the needs in your community. You know, children who normally depend on their schools for food might not be fed. People who are suffering from domestic abuse and need a place to go might not have a place to go. People don't have food. God knows first responders need support, need supplies. You know, the needs in your community are acute. You know, a lot of people are staying home. That is a good strategy. But the needs for the people who are out there, or the needs for the people who don't have, you know, a 5-year stash of toilet paper, the needs are acute. And this is an opportunity for you to help. It's an opportunity for you to be a good human being. It's an opportunity for you to be the part of the community that you should be at all times, but particularly now need to be. So here's what I would like you to, here's how it would work. So pick a cause. It could be as simple as saying, I'm buying coffee for my local first responders. It could be you donate to the Hospitals Guild because they're overwhelmed right now. It could be that you send or bring flowers to the doctors and nurses and the people who work in the hospital. Little gestures that mean a lot to people who are really literally putting their lives on the line for people in your community. But so first of all, pick a cause. Or you could pick several causes. You can, you know, but find a cause that resonates with you. If you're a pet store, I'll bet you animal shelters are struggling right now. You know, people aren't out, so they're not getting the donations that they should or could. People are being careful with their money, so they're not getting the donations that they should or could. So pick a cause: pet store, animal shelter, women's boutique, maybe a home for women who are suffering from domestic abuse. If you're a scrub store, of course, the first responders, nurses, people who work in the hospitals. Find a cause. Then figure out a percentage. Personally, in normal times, I like 20%. 20% is a number that gets people's attention. 20% is a number that moves people to action. So 20% of the sales generated during this event or generated by the supporters of your nonprofit or partner goes back to them after this is done. So pick a percent. If you can be more generous than 20% right now, be more generous. If you're really, really struggling and cash is really, really important, you might have to dial that back. The number is up to you. Base it on your ability to pay or your need to keep your cash, okay? So, I'm just going to give an example. Susan, what would be a good example for me? I'm going to go with never mind. I put a toy store. Thank you. I'm sorry, I put you on the spot like that. Yes. Okay, so I had a toy store for 19 years. So let's say I have a toy store. Oh, there is so much need for toys and puzzles and games in the community, right? A lot of people can't afford new toys, puzzles, and games. If you can't afford food, you're not going to buy a new toy or a new game for your family. So maybe that would be you would have a toy and puzzle drive. And so just say on a day or on a weekend or during a Facebook Live event that you're going to, for every puzzle that somebody buys or for every dollar that somebody spends, you're going to take 20% of all of the sales from that sale and donate it to a toy and puzzle drive. You know, churches know how to distribute them. Schools might, your schools may be closed, but there are organizations that distribute them, or you can find a way to distribute them yourself. But basically, you decide that you're a toy store and you are going to support your community by getting more puzzles and games out to families that are stuck inside and need a diversion. So I'm just going to use one example. You could do a week, you could do a weekend, you could do a 5-hour Facebook Live, but then you just have an event and you use your email marketing, you use all of your social media marketing, you do everything you can to get people to this event. If you're working with, let's just say you're working with churches. So I'm a toy store. I contact 5 local churches and say, do any of your parishioners need games? Do you see this need? And some of your churches may be wealthy, affluent. They go, nah, our people don't need it. Some of the churches go, oh my God, you would not believe the need we have for toys and games. Great. You're putting it where it works. And then you say on Saturday, I'm going to do a 5-hour Facebook Live. You're going to do your very own Jerry Lewis Labor Day telethon. That's for people of a certain age. But basically, you get on and you do social selling, but you don't make it about selling the thing. You make it about buying the thing so that as a gesture to help the people who need it most. You see what you're doing? You're being a good part of your community. You're helping out families that need what you sell but might not be able to afford to. You can send out a press release because the newspapers are still printing. Television stations are looking for good news. Radio stations are looking for stories. So send out a press release. Make a big deal out of it. Make sure that the churches that you're working with are telling their parishioners so their parishioners can tune in or participate in any way. And again, use all of your digital channels. If you're using mail, you can use mail, but make this into a big event. Create the buzz. Generate the excitement. Let people feel the goodwill. And then when it's done, feel really, really good that you have done something good for your community and you've generated sales at the same time. As an aside, this is what I absolutely love about WhizBang Cause Marketing. I mean, I recommend WhizBang Cause Marketing at all times, but it's just so perfect right now when the need is so great and you have an opportunity to help and build your business at the same time. We've been talking about this all along, this whole idea of the people who are doing good right now are going to do great at the end. Gestures like a cause marketing event. Gestures like just being there for your customers in a meaningful way. Showing up in an authentic way. All of these things are going to come back to you at the end. You know, Bob Zeckel, who I did an interview with, and I would really encourage you to go to our binge page, whizbangtraining.com/coronavirus. You can find it there. But Bob posted on WhizBang Retailers that he thought for those of us who have been following the WhizBang way, that's what he called it. And the WhizBang way is really, you know, doing business with a generous heart, doing business with a generous soul, you know, really, really being on your customers' teams. He said he believes that they are going to be, and that everyone who does subscribe to the WhizBang way, who does business in this generous, human, authentic way, are going to be positioned better than ever when this is done. And I couldn't agree with him more. It's not about WhizBang. It's about the fact that we as independent brick and mortar retailers have an opportunity to be good citizens, good human beings, and do good work in the world while we're making money. And that's what what I love about business is the more value you put out into the world, the more value you receive in the form of money, relationships, and all those sorts of things. So, if you are enjoying this podcast, if you watch it live, if you wouldn't mind sharing it, if you're watching it here on Facebook, if you're listening to it as a podcast, I would really, really, really appreciate it if you would go to your favorite podcast platform and leave a rating. You know, the more positive ratings we get, the more reach we get, the more impact we have, the better off we're all going to be at the end. Now, finally, this afternoon at 1 o'clock, we have our live Coronavirus and Retail Community Forum. And today, Susan is going to dive deep into the CARES Act. Susan has been working with our law firm and has been taking all the questions, not all of them, but most of the questions that you've asked on WhizBang Retailers on our Facebook page.
I tried to get all of them.
You tried to get all of them? There's like 80 questions, honey.
I know.
But there were probably some redundancy in there.
But I tried
Wow.
to answer all of them.
So if you asked a question about the CARES Act, Susan will try to get to answer all of that. And, you know, one of the things, and this is just an aside, I love what's happening on WhizBang Retailers. People are asking questions. People are filling in answers. But here's the problem, and it's not a problem of participation. One of the problems when people ask and layman answers is it might not be the right answer. And Susan is not a lawyer, but she is working directly with the coronavirus task force at one of our law offices, one of the top law firms in the state. So you can bet that when Susan says it, that it is one step removed from a lawyer, right? So I guess what I'm saying is I would trust the veracity of Susan's answers. And so that's happening at 1 o'clock. And it should be very, very, very interesting. I apologize to our Canadian friends and all of our international members of our community. This is going to be a pretty United States-centric community forum, but we think that it's important enough that it deserves a deep dive. And if you're from the United States, I hope that you'll be here. Okay, so again, another day. We are closer. We are closer to the end. And if you feel discouraged today, it's okay. You are allowed that. If you feel hopeful today, that's great. I applaud that. No matter how you feel today, just recognize that every and any emotion you are experiencing right now is 100% valid. Do not beat yourself up over any way that you're feeling. We're all just trying to deal with it. We're all just trying to move forward. We're all just trying to get to the end. Make it through today, and you're one day closer. And I hope to see you tomorrow. I'm Bob Nagin, and I do love you guys.